Magnetic flex plates are the single greatest upgrade you can get for a Resin 3D printer. They don't break the bank, they're straightforward to install, and they make your life so much easier when it comes to handling your prints and working with your printer. So much so, in fact, that they're almost a no-brainer. And when I'm buying any resin printer for myself, I always factor in the cost of this upgrade into my buying decision. Flex plates make it effortless and fast to remove your prints. You literally just flex the spring steel plate and the parts just pop right off. They spare you from potentially damaging your prints when removing them the traditional way, or from sending parts flying across the room. You get to leave the build plate installed in the machine at all times. This has two major benefits. It massively reduces the amount of resin lost, as any resin clinging to or at rest on your build plate stays there for the next print. The other benefit of always leaving it in there is you are far less likely to accidentally knock your build plate out of level when removing the prints. So magnetic flex plates have a lot of upside. There is, however, one major flaw. Flex plates simply do not scale well to bigger build plates and will almost always fall off. It might hold for a month, maybe 3, you might even get half a year out of it. But sooner or later, physics is gonna win, and that magnet is coming off. Now, if you have a 6-inch build plate or less, in my experience, if installed correctly, a magnetic flex plate will never fail you and will last year after year through even the most demanding of prints. But go beyond that, and it gets way less certain very quickly. Now, it's possible that new FEP materials like NFEP with lower adhesion can help mitigate this, and the new tilt release mechanisms like we see on the Saturn IV printer from Elegoo especially, I think, could help reduce those peel forces and ensure that that magnet stays stuck for a lot longer. But I'm curious, is there a more surefire way to achieve our goals here? Can we, dare I say, permanently affix a magnet to a 3D printer's build plate? How about multiple magnets? In this video, I'm going to attempt to fix this issue, hopefully in a way that's easily reproduced on any Resin 3D printer. But first, I think it's important that we go over everything we need to know in order to have the best possible printing experience with a magnetic flex plate.
So let's start there. Step 1, go with a reputable brand.
The very first flex plate I ever used was a Wham Bam flex plate, and it is still going strong in my Anycubic Photon S 3D printer. These flex plates have generously been sent to me by Wham Bam for the purposes of this video and for use on this channel. So thank you, Wham Bam, and there's going to be links to Wham Bam down in the video description. I do recommend you check them out. I personally vouch for this company and their products. It's good shit. Now, having said that though, if like me, you're in Australia, it can be a bit harder to come by Wham Bam magnetic flex plates. Every time I try and get one, they're always out of stock. So I have had great success using Sovol magnetic flex plates as well. So that could be another option for you if you can't find Wham Bam. Look for Sovol ones. Those are nice quality also. Wham! Bam! So success with flex plates is pretty straightforward, and it kind of just revolves around the proper installation of the thing. And the first thing you want to do when it comes to installing a magnetic flex plate is basically rough up your build surface and clean it really, really well with 99% alcohol. This is methylated spirits. This works great. If you're going to use IPA, 99%. Don't cheap out. So we're going to get our sandpaper. The first things first, actually, we're going to put on some fresh gloves. Okay, so to do this, just going to take our sandpaper, take our build plate, and then we're just going to sort of sand it gently in a circular motion. And what this is going to do is it's going to mar up this surface with all these fine little scratches. And this is just going to help give that magnet the best possible chance of adhering to this build plate. Now, after you've done a pass of sanding, you want to take your alcohol, spray it down, and grab some clean paper towels. Has to be paper towels. Don't use like shop rag or anything like that. Paper towels, clean, fresh, wipe it down, and then you want to go again. Okay, and again, we're just going to spray that down with alcohol. Fresh paper towels. And so it might be difficult to see, but hopefully you can see that we've added a ton of little scratches to this build plate. And with the alcohol cleaning, it should be perfectly clear of any debris and in particular, any oils. And for good measure, I'm going to repeat this one more time. I'm going to maybe do a bit of a wet sanding. So I'll spray it with alcohol, grab my sandpaper. Okay, that should be pretty good. See that there? Nice. Spray that down. Fresh paper towels. And I'm going to do that again up here. Really want to make sure this thing is absolutely clean. And now that is about as good as we're going to get it. That's ready for a magnet. If you're going to be installing a flex plate on a build plate that you've already been printing with, so even though this has been cleaned pretty well, there might still be some residue. It might be a good idea to first just give the build plate a soak in alcohol, maybe for like 30 minutes or an hour, and then a quick wipe down before you do those sanding and cleaning steps that I just showed you. And by the way, this is like the perfect size build plate for a flex plate. If you put a flex plate on this and you install it right, it'll never come off, in my experience. Your mileage may vary. So this bit is a little bit fiddly. Wham Bam don't say anything about removing the metal flex sheet, so I'm going to leave it on there. And I'm pretty sure in the past, every time I've installed one of these, I've always left that on. Now you can remove this whole thing at once and install it that way, but then you got to line it up perfect. And I've done it, and you can get away with it. But the way that Wham Bam recommends you do it is you peel it a little bit and then apply it, and then kind of like pull the paper as you roll the plate on. So just like that, we're going to peel that back a bit, and then I'm going to just fold it there. This might be easier if we do it at the very edge of the table here, maybe like this. Here we go. That looks pretty good. Nice. And what you want to do is you want to apply some pressure to it. And what I like to do is, if you've got them, grab some clamps like this and just use these to apply a little bit of pressure to the thing. So I'm going to grab a board or something. One sec. Here we go. So here's a piece of timber. I'm going to put my build plate down on this, and then using my clamps, just squeeze that down. There we go. And now the most painful step. We have to wait for 72 hours before we put this into the machine and print with it. So I'm just going to go put this aside, and we'll pick this up in a couple of days. Set a timer for 72 hours.
Second timer for 3 days. And that's starting.
Now, you may need to install a spacer in your 3D printer equal to the thickness of the magnetic flex plate system that we've just installed. Now, this is pretty straightforward, and I have recorded a whole segment on it with some creative ideas for you on how to tackle this issue yourself. However, for the sake of brevity, I'm going to exclude that from this video and link to it down below in the video description, where you can check that out separately if you're interested. So really, from here on out, what it's going to come down to for ensuring the longevity of your flex plate as much as possible is going to be to minimize the amount of exposure that that magnet has to any sort of harsh solvents like IPA, methylated spirits, or even resin. So that means don't go sticking your whole build plate now into a pool of alcohol to wash it. Remove the flex plate from the build plate and just leave the build plate in the machine. And like I touched on before, this also gives you the benefit of wasting less resin and ensuring your build plate stays level for longer. So just remove the flex plate. And then what I like to do before I reinstall my flex plate is just wipe down the visible surfaces of the magnet, wipe down the flex plate, and then lining up the front edge of the flex plate with the front edge of the build plate and magnet, you can really easily just snap it back into place, ready for your next print. You may also want to sand your flex plate with 400 grit sandpaper if you find that prints aren't sticking very well, or even not sticking at all. And that can help rather than having to boost up your bottom layer exposure a whole bunch. One little caveat about these flex plates that I only recently just discovered for myself is that when you use them with flexible resins, you actually kind of lose the benefit of the flex plate itself. So if you're printing with a tough or flexible resin, something more durable than your typical resins, you might want to just pass on this upgrade. But I just thought that would be a useful little piece of information to include here before we proceed to the final boss battle for this video. And that is, what do you do when one of these magnets has failed you and has begun to peel away?
So here's the plan. I've got two types of strong magnets, and these are readily available on Amazon and eBay, and I'll leave links to these ones in the video description, but these are the search terms you want to use to find them, and there should be plenty of options. So this is the first one I got, and the reason I chose these is because this actually unscrews, revealing a threaded hole. So what we could do on our build plate, once we remove this old magnet, is drill some holes into it that this is going to fit into, drop it in, and then bolt it from the back. And that should be pretty damn secure. And if we do 6 of these, say 3 along both edges and 3 down the middle, hopefully that will be enough to hold onto that steel sheet against the peel forces of our print. And if that works, that's fantastic. And the other type of magnet that I'd like to possibly try is this one. And I think these are actually a bit stronger. I've got a few more of them, but these ones here have a countersunk hole in the middle. And so we could pop a bolt through there, have it go all the way through the build plate, and then secure it with a nut on the back. So the first problem that we have to solve actually is going to be when we drill this, getting that drill hole to be perfectly straight up and down. Well, actually, maybe not. See, I was thinking about this and I was thinking like, oh God, we're going to have to buy like a drill press. It's like a couple $100 at least, probably. But actually, the more I think about it, because we're passing a bolt all the way through and securing it from the other side, that hole can have some room for error. It doesn't have to be perfectly straight up and down. If it's like a tiny bit skewed or whatever, that's fine. In theory. So really, first things first is we got to remove this old magnet. Oh my God. Okay, nice. So here's the problem we're going to have. I've just found some flathead bolts. These are M4, and these are a perfect fit for these. So if I drop that in there, it sits below the surface, which is perfect, right? But it's only sticking through that much, which if we look at our build plate, ain't going to cut it in the middle, and it'll only just reach on the edges. So I think what we're going to have to do is try our luck with these, because these are threaded for whatever pitch these generic M5 bolts are, and I've got these in all sorts of different lengths. And the fact that these threads reach through most of the build plate already, if not all of it, this should be a pretty sweet solution. Although, hang on, no, because if that's poking all the way through here, and I then put a bolt in there, it's going to have that much play. Options. What do we do? So maybe we should go with this option, but I'll have to make a run to the hardware store tomorrow and see if I can get M4 with a flat head that's longer. Because the only other option, I don't like it, is to not drill all the way through and instead, or, drill all the way through, but then use a tap and die set to actually add threads to those holes. I'm not super keen on that idea. I'd prefer to secure these magnets from the back with some nuts, but yeah, interesting. So let's come back to this tomorrow. So I think I've got two options. I can saw these off, make them shorter, which I'm not super crazy about. Use these bolts, and then after I drill through the build plate, countersink with larger holes. I don't think I'll have to do it on the edges, but for the center, I could countersink with a larger drill bit so that way the nut can sink down into the build plate. I think that might be my best option. Okay, so first thing that I want to do is line up all of these where they need to go. And then the next thing to do is going to be to mark each of these holes. So we're going to go in with a 2mm drill bit first. I wonder, can I secure this down better? So there we go, we got that clamped down. That should work pretty well, hopefully. God damn, that's noisy. Good thing is the metal's super soft, so it's easy to drill. Okay, that was a 2mm. I'm now going to step up to 3, and then I think we'll finish at 4.5. And then 4.5. Okay, so that's the drilling done. And now those bolts should fit comfortably through these holes. Yes. Excellent. Now to clean up this horrible mess. Okay, so there's all of our holes, and they're looking pretty good. So all that's left to do is, I got to add countersinks to the 3 in the middle. Now to do this one in the very middle, I'm going to have to remove this bracket thingy. But that should be pretty straightforward. Then we can put this all together and see how it goes. Unfortunately, I haven't really quite got the right tool for the job here. I think the best drill bit would be one of those, what are they called? Forstner drill bits or whatever. But we're just going to have to make do with this and try our best not to go all the way through. Okay. Will that work? I wonder. Oh, you see that? It's in there. All right, quick test fit. Yes, okay. Yeah, that's totally going to work. All right. Sick. That should be plenty. Before I reinstall this plate, I'll install our center magnet first. Yes, it's grabbing. Ah, that's fantastic. We're in business. Reattach this top plate. Won't tighten these all the way down yet. This is our leveling mechanism. Now, more magnets. M4 bolt in there. And I'm grateful that these are grabbing and that the M4 bolt's not just spinning around in there. That makes this install easier. But yeah, wow, that's 2. Let's keep going. Ooh, that one is sitting a tiny bit proud, which shouldn't matter. There should be clearance in the vat, but still, that's not great. Nice. So that's how that's going to work for the rest of them. Nice and simple. You know what? I'm a freaking idiot. I miscounted my screws, and I think I'm actually short by 1. That one's going to be okay, but then... okay. I've got to countersink 1 by the tiniest amount. Oh, that's kind of annoying. Hopefully I don't go all the way through. We did it! Look at this monstrosity. Hell yes. Okay, where's my flex plate? Here we go. You ready? Oh my God. Okay. It's on there. And it seems to be holding quite well. Yeah. Hell yes. Okay. We're going to have to install a new spacer in the machine, I think. But God, we're just about ready. Okay, so it looks like we have added about 7.5 to 8 millimeters. I'm going to call that 8. And I'm going to figure out an 8 millimeter spacer and add that to the printer. And then we'll update the settings in the slicer. And then we should be good to go. So there's our old spacer.
If I just rescale that in the slicer like that, that should now be perfect for our modified magnet system. Let's give this a go. So all we got to do is just modify the profile for our printer and just subtract the thickness of our new flex plate system from our total Z height. So right now this is reading a default of 245. So our new value is going to be 237. And so that's important because now we will know when we're slicing stuff what our limit is in terms of Z height. Right, so the first thing we're going to print is our rafts of adhesion. And we're just going to make sure that we have in fact leveled the machine correctly. And hopefully this prints. This will also tell us as well if this is a complete waste of time, if our magnets aren't strong enough, or if we're onto something here, and then we can try some other prints and really put these magnets to the test.
And now I just want to check real quick there's enough clearance in there. Oh yeah, there's plenty. Plenty of room for our new Frankenstein build plate. All right, so get that on, tighten it down, connect our power. Photon! This machine's seen some shit, so the screen's a bit dull, but that's okay. Here we go. Good stuff. Okay, now we just got to tighten that up and we should be golden. How exciting is this? Got a bit of a Frankenstein resin here to try out. This is essentially a 50-50, roughly 50-50 mix of Anycubic's high-speed resin and Anycubic's Tough Resin Ultra, because I was a dummy and threw away my Tough Resin Ultra bottle. So we'll see how this stuff goes. Who knows, might be really awesome. God, that's going to be a bitch to clean. Let's have a look. Okay, well, it's still on there. And as expected, it has pulled a ton of resin on top of it. So that is unfortunately one of the trade-offs here. But I'm dying to know, are our adhesion rafts present on this flex plate? No, they are not. Oh, no. Where did we go wrong? I actually don't even feel them on the FEP. So I think this LCD might be dead.
Turns out, yes, that LCD is in fact dead. Luckily though, I did have a replacement on hand, ready to go.
Are you serious? It's the right size, but it uses a different connection? What the fuck?
Apparently there should be an adapter board and cable, but I searched high and low and could not find anything. In desperation, I turned to the internet to see if I could order a new LCD kit locally and get it here quickly, but all the options are international with long lead times. I even tried scouring used marketplaces to see if I could score a deal on another Mono X. No luck there either though, and at this point, I'm getting desperate.
This might be crazy, but I just noticed something here. So on this carriage, we've got bolts at 0, 25, 75, and 100 by 25. Saturn 3, 0, 25, 75, and 100 by 25. They're the same. I wonder, can it be done?
Surely not. Surely you couldn't take the Z carriage and build plate of an Anycubic Mono X and transplant it into an Elegoo Saturn 3. There's no way that could work. But I've come this far already, and I'm dying to know if this flex plate mod has worked. And I am not about to shelf this project for a month while I wait for a new LCD kit to get here.
Oh my god. Oh, it's perfect. I don't need to do anything else. Holy shit. Okay. Glove. Glove. Gonna tighten this up and level it. Oh my god, is it that simple?
Here we go. This will be the real test now. Does this magnetic flex plate upgrade work? Let's find out.
Okay, I heard something and I see flex plate. Place your bets. Do we have rafts? Oh, that's horrifically messy. Holy shit. Okay, yeah, we've got rafts. That's amazing. All right, let's try and do the flex plate thing. Yes, okay. Oh, it's drippy. Definitely messier than my normal flex plate workflow. Look at this. We got them all, except for that one. I'm pretty sure if we increase burn-in time, we'll get that one too. I'm now going to try and print something big and really push this thing to the limits, and we'll see what we get. Something I want to keep an eye out for as well is layer shift. So just like if you can imagine the build plate separating from the magnet slightly and then reattaching, but shifting ever so slightly. So you could experience layer shift that way. But these look okay. These are looking pretty promising. All right, so I've just sliced up the epic speeder model from Dungeons and Dreadnoughts, and we will know pretty quickly if this build plate can handle it or not, because it's going to be that raft where it fails, if it fails. Going in. Look, I've been trying to swear less, but holy shit. This shouldn't have worked. Look at this. This is absolutely insane. Let's grab it. Hell yes. That is not bad at all. Okay, can we do it? Can we do the pop it? Yes! Oh, it's perfect. Ah, stoked. Okay, let's get this cleaned up, and then I think we'll do one more print and we'll really push it to its limits. And then I think we'll call this video done. And so the way to do this, I believe, is going to be to quickly wipe these magnets down. And so now, when I install this flex plate, it should not splash anything. Oh, that's perfect. Stoked.
Bit of a torture test here. 9 40mm bases printed directly on the build plate. This is kind of like a worst case scenario. These peel forces should be pretty extreme, and possibly when we get to this second half of the print here, these are all going to act like little suction cups and be even more hardcore. So let's see if this works.
Oh my god, yes, I can see them all. Okay, so I guess, yeah, at this point, I feel quite confident saying that this mod is totally worth it. If you've got a larger 3D printer, like a Saturn or a Mono X or a whatever, Frozen Mighty, and you've been struggling with flex plates where they fall off after a month or 2 months or however long, this might be the answer. There's a little bit of work involved, and there are some trade-offs. It's going to be a bit messier. But yeah, I am so stoked with this project. This has really tickled my brain. And the fact that this is like the Anycubic Mono X build plate transplanted onto the Saturn. How did we end up here? This is so great. All right, let's just run off some of that excess resin. Look at that. Incredible. All right, here we go. Son of a bitch. Okay, I really should have done that pointing downwards, not outwards. Whoops. I knew that. Why did I make that mistake? Wipe down the flex plate. Yeah, this is a pretty easy workflow. Just a quick wipe down of these magnets. And now we should be able to just pop this back on with no mess. Like that. Perfect.
Welcome to the end of the video. If you enjoyed this, or you found this helpful and now you're about to run out and do this modification yourself, do me a favor, buy us a coffee, would ya? Head to buymeacoffee.com/once-in-a-six-side or patreon.com/once-in-a-six-side. You can also click the join button down below this video and become a member. I think we have super thanks enabled too, so there's that. Do you want to be the first person to super thank me? I don't think I've got one yet. You know what's cool though? If you do decide to become a member, you're going to get a bunch of STL files, including this epic skimmer model from Dungeons and Dreadnoughts. But that is just for the month of May 2024. That is an exclusive reward for channel members, but there's also a ton of files that will be available for all time in perpetuity via the welcome pack. And there's some great stuff in there from Artificer's Mini, Synergy Studio, Dow Miniatures, and myself, like this awesome plain tabletop gaming base pack. But yeah, there's also a ton of miniatures that are also exclusive to this month, and those have generously been contributed to the channel by Arcane Whiskers, Artificer's Mini, Cross Lancers, DM Stash, Dungeons and Dreadnoughts, Imp 3D Sion, Moid, Ravenbones Minis, Steam Tatsu, Stoneforge, and Tractor Minis. I'm going to leave links to all of these artists down in the video description, and I highly encourage you to go check them out because they're all wildly talented and they are all producing phenomenal sculpts for our tabletop hobby. And I'm so grateful to them for their contributions to this channel and helping make my membership a more valuable subscription to all you 3D printers out there. So big fucking cheers. Thanks for watching this one. I really hope this one's been inspirational and helpful. And if you've been struggling with flex plates, give this a go. Use my affiliate links in the description to pick up your magnets and bolts and nuts and all that stuff. It's another great little way to help the channel. And share your builds as well in the Discord. All right, that's enough of this one. Cheers. Bye-bye. Oh, also, I'll release a longer cut of this video for channel members so you can see like the full process of transplanting that Anycubic build plate to the Saturn. All right, cheers.